should be fun. Movie should be fun. Movie should be fun. Movie should be fun, yeah!
Hey action lovers, Grubby Phil here. We're talking about an absolute classic, Van Damme in Bloodsport. Yes, 80s absolute classic, launched the career of Van Damme really. So this film is supposedly based on a true story of a guy called Frank Dux. It isn't true, he made the whole thing up, but it is a good story. And Van Damme plays that title character, Frank Dux. So it starts, and we're in Hong Kong. And you know, you get going around, you get an international training montage with sort of synthetic 80s music with a bit of a Chinese thing. Only like one of the guys really seems to talk in the training montage, and that's a big hairy American guy who says he needs more scars on his face. So you know he's going to be important. And then we get to Van Damme. He's in the army, and he's a bit of an army rebel. He skips the army away from General someone who seems to have been played by whoever was walking by that day. He was terrible. So he skips from the army. He jumps out of the window during a shower, and he goes to see this old Japanese couple who he seems to know. Where did they come from? They're like childhood mentors. We get some flashbacks to some kid doing a terrible Van Damme impression. And you find out that this guy was kind of a bit of a father figure. He was friends with the son, stuff like that. And anyway, he's going to train him, basically. He's going to train him for an international fight called the Kumte. And later, there is a song in the background that just goes, Kumte, Kumte, Kumte. Oh, it might be Kumite. It might be Kumite. But it's really funny, the song. You kind of don't notice it. And you're something like, hang on, are they just repeating the name of the competition over and over again? Yes, they are. So this guy's like, no, I probably can't train you. It's for my son. My son died. And he's like, oh, but you trained me. So he trains, and he's being stretched on a rack that just doesn't look like it's helpful for anything. He has to make tea blindfolded. They spend a lot of time on the blindfolded tea. We'll see if that comes in handy later. Anyway, so he's off to Hong Kong. He's being chased by a couple of army guys, and one of them is Forrest Whitaker, which I wasn't expecting to see at all. So he gets there, he gets to the hotel, he meets all the Kumite other people. They're sort of a bit like, oh, what's going on? Will we talk about it? Will we not? There's an incredibly attractive American journalist, and she's there trying to get an exclusive story. He meets the big American guy, and this other guy is going to be his guide. The guide guy seems really sleazy, and you're like, oh, this guy's going to be no good. But I was wrong. That guy's his friend all the way through. Anyway, you get to kind of the arena, and it's this sort of quasi-traditional looking arena, and you can tell there's going to be the competitions there, and they're like, oh yeah, this looks scary. You see this guy who's clearly the big bad guy. He's standing there just kind of looking at them, smirking, this big guy, and you're like, yeah, they're going to have to fight that guy, and they do. So they get to the place, and they show their papers. The guy tells them they have to protect the nuts, which sort of came out of nowhere, but I love that. Van Damme has to prove that he's the student of this guy, because obviously he doesn't exactly look like his son, by breaking a rock at the bottom of a pile of rocks without breaking any of the other rocks, because it's some technique that is known from this school. Anyway, he's like, well, bam! He makes it. We're safe. So the competition starts, and there's a lot of guys in sort of silk, shiny, gi trousers. I've never seen so much synthetic silk and shininess in martial arts wear. Normally it's a much kind of thicker, more utilitarian cotton type, but they've gone for some glam there. So they go through the rounds, and Van Damme, he beats the big bad guy's knockout record by being like, whoop, really quick. So he's like, okay, this ain't gonna go well. His friend, the big hairy American sex pest, he's doing pretty well, but eventually he ends up in hospital because we have to get him out of the way because they can't fight each other because they're friends, and we all know there's gonna be Van Damme and the big bad guy at the end. Which it is. Obviously, there's some more police chasing in the meantime. He makes friends with the reporter. He's still not going to let her in, though. But she seems to have made friends with someone else who manages to let her in. So she's in anyway. The army guys try to chase him. We have a hilarious little chase that shows how unfit they are. And he's like, poo, poo, pow, pow, flips everywhere. He's great. Anyway, basically, convoluted way, they're in to watch him at the end, sitting next to the reporter girl, and they're all cheering for him because at the end of the day, they want him to win. They just don't want him to die there. So they have a fight, and he wins. How does he win? He wins by making tea blindfolded. Well, not quite. But the big bad guy, just so we know he's a real shit, he cheats. He has like a powder, he has like a tablet in his pants. He takes it out, crumbles it up, and throws it in Van Damme's eye when he starts to do well. And he's like, ah! He's sort of a bit blinded. he doesn't kind of let on, he doesn't say to the judges, hey, this guy's cheating, he threw blind powder in me, look, you can see it everywhere. No, he fights on, he finds his center, and he fights him despite basically not being able to see, and he wins, because he's awesome like that. We also see the splits training coming in handy during a leg drag, and there's also a training montage, just to remind us that he trained for all these eventualities, because, it's what happens in every fight. You have to be able to do the splits, and someone will blind you, and the ability to make T blindfolded will save you. Anyway, at the end, he's like, oh, I've won. He's in the hospital there with the big beardy trucker kind of guy, having a nice laugh and being like, yeah, anytime you need me, brother, I'm there for you. Anytime we need each other, yeah. And then he gets back on the plane with the army guys and they all live happily ever after. Kumte, 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 kumte. It's a great song. So, fun. Hell yes, fun. No, hell no. Was this movie fun? Hell yes! Hell yes, Bloodsport is fun. Of course it's fun. It's about an international martial arts competition, apparently based on a true story, in which Claude Van Damme, the American entry, as he always seems to end up somehow being, kicks ass! And he's awesome in it, and he has a funny sidekick, and it's got everything you need, really. The fight choreography is actually pretty good. The fights in this are good. I have done a minuscule amount of martial arts training. I am absolutely not claiming to be an expert. But I've done a little bit. Enough that watching this film, I was like, there's some real stuff in there. Obviously, it's all for film, it's all for show. But, it's not just a, huh, and then a cut to someone going, oh. We get some actual fighting. And that's one of the good things about when you hire Van Damme. Because he is actually a fighter who has competed in kickboxing competitions. You get a good fight show. So yeah, this movie, hell yes, this is fun. Watch Bloodsport. Bloodsport is very good. You've probably seen Kickboxer. There's some similarities, and we will probably talk about Kickboxer another day. But Bloodsport is fantastic. It's called Bloodsport. Watch Bloodsport.
Should be fun. Movie should be fun.